New Mexico is called home to Michael Gaffney and Owen Washburn, two of the greatest cowboys in professional bull riding history. They wrote the book on how to handle the tough bulls. And today, we'll find out how these two not only got on their first bull, but perfected the game and became world champions. Welcome, everyone, to PBR Total Bull. I'm Justin McGee, alongside one of the greatest bull riders ever, if not the best of all time, Tuff Edeman. And Tuff, as we talked about the history of the PBR, only 8 men have won world titles. 2 of those 8 are from the same state of New Mexico, Owen Washburn and Michael Gaffney.
Yeah, I knew both Owen and Michael growing up. Used to junior rodeo with Owen and his brother. I spent a lot of time in New Mexico. My grandparents had a ranch there. And, you know, Michael, he came to my first bull riding clinic, and initially I was going to take a little bit of credit, but the truth be known, he knew how to ride when he got there.
Well, as veterans of the PBR game, they've experienced their usual ups and downs. Let's take a look at how these 2 men, who come from a state of stunning beauty, made superstar status in the PBR.
Wow! Man, is he riding good!
I was one of those kids that liked rough activities, and football, baseball, any kind of sport I was into.
Great bull ride.
I started junior rodeo when I was 5, 6, 7 years old, and worked my way through the ranks. Went into your 4-H rodeo and then your high school rodeo, and was fortunate enough to get a college scholarship to go ride bulls. Rode there for 3 years, and then turned professional.
Good bull right here, National Finals bull. He's a good. Come on, Mike.
Good there, Michael.
Want to know if he's well? Yeah. Come on, Mike. You betcha. Good. Yeah. Now he's getting fired up. G-man's into his hand. He gets the ship righted. Atta boy.
That away, Michael.
That's a good recovery free. Now this is no problem right there. It's a nice bull ride.
I've probably been riding steer since I was 7 years old, but I remember bugging my mom and bugging her until finally she let me enter the open rodeo. I was 10.
This is going to be awesome. Watch the bull. Red bull. Round to the right. Get there, Owen. Atta boy. Owen Washburn riding like 96. Look at here. Bird. He got the money. Woo!
I can't remember not being involved in rodeo, whether it be bull riding or going with family to rodeos. So, I mean, honestly, I can't remember the day I thought, dang, I'd sure like to ride bulls, because, I mean, I've been doing it forever.
For Washburn and Gaffney, the face of bull riding would change in 1994 with the start of a brand new bull riding tour, the Professional Bull Riders Tour. It was an exciting time for everyone, especially Michael Gaffney, who would be one of the original founding members.
February, March of 92, that we all got together in Arizona after a bull riding that we had there. And I, of course, remember the day and the time and everything, and who was in the room, because, it was a big moment. Guys that Tuff Edeman, Cody Lambert, Ty Murray, Jim Sharp, the who's who of bull riding. Common sense told us that, hey, we've got something, and we've got to step up and maybe get some organization going here and promote ourselves. So we've come a long ways from going to a top prize of $2,000 and paying $200-300 entry fee to where we're paying no entry fee. We're even paying the guys to show up, an appearance fee, and having a crack at $50,000-60,000 a weekend.
When we come back, Michael Gaffney puts on a bull riding clinic in 1997 and becomes the PBR's world champion. We'll also take a look at the year Owen Washburn had in 1996, cementing his name in PBR history. In 1996, Owen Washburn had a shot at a world championship. He was in a close race with the guy standing next to me, Tuff Edeman. Tuff, what do you remember about that year?
Well, I remember Owen was the guy that spoiled my year. I'd won the world title in '95 and was trying to put back-to-back championships, and he was just riding unbelievable. It didn't matter whether it was the bull of the year or just a nice one or a hard to ride one. He just made the whistle, and second to him that year was a pretty good year for him.
We pick up in the year where the race is coming down to the wire. Here's 1996 and Owen Washburn's quest for the gold.
That year, I wasn't thinking about winning a world championship. I was just concerned about making a living. That's all I've ever done, riding bulls.
Owen Washburn is a great bull rider, in my opinion. Look at here. Oh, yeah. Both ways. Gonna go left.
Yeah!
Check the spur now. Come on, Owen. Pump it. Yes, sir. Don't tighten up, Owen. Owen Washburn, oh, man. This one's gonna fit him fine. Look at the free hand and the outside foot. Perfect timing. Leaderboard change. I told you not to relax. See him comes out there. He's a little bull, but he's not big.
Good move.
Oh, yeah.
Move.
Look at his spur to the outside foot. He's riding up. Now he's going to reverse the spin. Oh, give him the money out of boy.
Wow.
Talk about going for the gold. Owen Washburn. Into his hand, Owen Washburn. He's got it going. Come on, look at the outside foot. Oh, yeah. This is take it home. Show me the money. Owen Washburn. First time he gets aggressive. He can work on that get-off some, but hey, he's got a hat like Tater Porter.
Well, everybody was talking like it was a pretty close race. I don't know whether it was or whether it wasn't, but I know Tough was right in there somewhere.
Going down in the well. He got a hold. He got out. Come on.
Get back up.
He just willed himself back on that bull. What a move, you.
Wow. Wow.
Holy smoke. That's the champ right there. My goodness.
At the very last event in Las Vegas, Owen Washburn had a chance to lock up the World Championship on Lights Out.
This is the man here, Owen Washburn. He's on Lights Out.
He's going to be the champion of the world, probably. What Owen needs. If he wins something, I don't think Tough can catch him. But if he bucks down and Tough can ride, well, then we'll have to sharpen our pencils to figure this out.
Boy, everybody is holding their breath in here, Donnie. Just,
Yeah.
You can feel it in the air.
I mean, they're sitting on the edge of the seat. All right, he said, let's do it. He said, let's get out here and do it. Get a hold with your feet. Get a hold with your feet. Went the other way. He nearly made it. That could open the door for the Tough Mike. Tough Hedeman. He's got his work cut out for him. Like I said, he's going to do everything but pull a knife on him to buck him off.
Can you feel a little tension in the air here,
Hey,
Donnie?
man, I'm pretty tense. I need a seatbelt on my chair. They're rocking in Las Vegas. The champ says, let's ride.
Let's go, he says.
Give it to him, Tough. They're down. Gonna go left. That bull is kicking it. Oh, no.
Oh, man.
Dad, Burn. No score.
Look.
He didn't make it.
Picture is worth 1,000 words.
That was a good feeling, being you were riding against guys like Tough Hedeman, and it dang sure makes you feel good. It takes you a day or two once you get home to kind of realize what you've done.
The very next year in 1997, Michael Gaffney was also in a race to the championship with 94 world champion Adriano Moraes.
Did fairly well throughout the year, was riding a big percentage of my bulls.
This man, he has been riding like a house fire. The G-Man. Come on, Mike.
Yes.
Stepped up. And that's why he's not panicking, staying right with it. Good bull ride.
Adriano, being the guy that he is, was pretty much dominating the year. And he got hurt. He went to Brazil. He broke his leg. And kind of somewhat opened the door for Cody Hart and myself. We were, I think, two of the guys that if there was a chance to catch him, it was us two. And luckily for me, those last handful of events, I rode 13, 14 bulls out of 15 bulls.
This is a guy trying to win a championship of the world.
Yeah.
All right. Stumbled. He handled that good. Come on. Look at G-Man. Good job there. Good job there.
Nice.
Okay. Out of there. Wait. Whoa. Good caddy move right there.
Got a great matchup here, Donnie. Michael Gaffney on Death Valley.
Gaffney is riding too good for this bull. Gonna go left.
to the finals and ended up taking the championship home.
Let's get it on. Lay down, Michael. Come on, Michael. Come on, Michael. Get a hold. Now give it to him. Give it to him. Give it to him. All right. Yes, sir. Hello, Texas. All right.
It was just an awesome feeling because I knew that was what he had strived for since he had started, and that's what they all strive for. I mean, that is the ultimate goal for these guys, to be the world champion.
Well, it was really the defining moment for me to say, hey, I finally feel like I belong among my peers. And, you always want your acceptance from your friends and the guys that you look up to. And that was my moment.
No. And one
Coming up, we go to New Mexico and find out what life is like away from the grind of the PBR Tour. Total Bull. I'm Justin McKee along with Tuff Edelman, and today we're taking a look at two world champion bull riders, Owen Washburn and Michael Gaffney, who come from the same beautiful state of New Mexico. Now, week in and week out, they're jumping on airplanes to make it to the next PBR Tour stop, and they're leaving family at home, which they enjoy their time at home. Sometimes it makes it tough to leave.
Well, it does, but it's important to get home to heal up both mentally and physically. But after being home for a few days, you're ready to get back on the tour, and, that's what makes it exciting.
Well, they both took a year off of the tour for different reasons, but as you can see, it gets harder to leave home week after week.
Peter bouncing, look out. Oh, no. Got it. Hey, he hung up in there. Got him reared back. Flashed him out there. He's a good move. Backing up.
You have kids, and it goes from day to night, or night to day. I mean, life starts right then for me. I'll never be as happy as I am with my kids. I'm just grateful every day because I get to be with my kids and don't have to get up every morning with the alarm clock and head to work, There's nothing beats that, no matter if I never win another dollar riding bulls.
It wasn't his top priority anymore. His family and the kids are now.
I just sat home and thought about it for a year or whatever, wasn't involved in it. I mean, I didn't do a whole bunch of watching bull riding or anything, I mean, I just took some time off and did what I felt like at that time. I was a little burned out or whatever, and I came home and did the stuff I really wanted to do and enjoyed doing.
It was a lot more relaxing around here. Things weren't as tense as far as having to go every weekend and be doing it every weekend. It was a really good time for us.
I realized that you got to do what you got to do to pay for your stuff, and to make your living, and that's how I do it, is ride bulls, so I went back to it.
In a hurry. He's running off the road. Woo! Yeah. Look out, look.
Michael Gaffney also enjoys spending time at home in Corrales, New Mexico. He decided to take a year off from bull riding to have surgery, relax, and spend time with his wife, Robin, and also to build their home.
Corrales is just, traditionally known for its kind of rural type feeling and kind of small town activities. Our home is in New Mexico, Southwest, and our families are here. This home is kind of somewhat of a result of several different things. I elected to take some surgery after I won the world in '97 and had back-to-back injuries, which gave me the time to build this house. My life is pretty small, and it has been for several years as far as being home and not having say a ranch or a whole lot of space to work in. So this is pretty much, if you want to call it a sanctuary, this is where I hang out. Yeah, I could play the drums a little bit. No, this don't. I'll play some. I don't want to do that. I can say the only nightmare that we really had in the home was putting up the Vigas. And the reason I say that is you're talking about when something like this, if you don't put them in at the beginning with a crane lift, which you're traditionally supposed to do, 35, 40 pounds a foot long, talking about 700-800 pound timbers. And when there was 3 of us lifting them up, it got pretty heavy. This is where I'm always in a hurry to get back to, because, I love being home like all the rest of the guys do, and this is my world.
You're watching PBR Total Bull on OLN. He only finished 39th in the world standings, and this year he's only had 1 top 10 finish.
Well, Michael's getting at the age that, unfortunately, his body isn't the same, in his 30s as it was in his 20s. Makes it more difficult to bounce back from injuries, but, don't count this guy out. He's a former world champion, and he can still ride.
Well, he has had his share of injuries, but he certainly hasn't used injuries as an excuse.
Yes, I've been injured, but we all have injuries, and that's just something that's part of the game that you've got to learn to deal with. And we always say it's not just physically, but it's mentally. You've got to come back and elevate your game to compete at this level. You've always got your new young riders that are coming in that are hungry, and you've got to step up to the plate and swing hard. And I feel like I've fallen short of doing that. And so I have had some disappointments over the last few years. But bottom line for me is I still enjoy getting on the backs of these bulls. I mean, there's nothing like crawling on the back of a Dillinger or a Mossy Oak Mudslinger. These type bulls are just what keep bringing you back, and to hopefully bring yourself to that position where you can get on and make the ride and step off and be 90, 95 points. I mean, that's what it's all about.
In Owen Washburn's case, the 2003 season has been a success, highlighted by what some people call possibly the greatest 2 rides in PBR history. He'd start the season red hot with a win at the 3rd event of the year, the Minneapolis Invitational.
Owen Washburn, he's on a bull that might be able to take him all the way. It's gone to narrow. Owen Washburn is with him. He's going to score high. He could take the lead.
The next week, he'd keep the momentum going and place 2nd at the Worcester Classic.
Owen, one last week in Minneapolis. He's got to see he could go all the way. He's done it again. Owen Washburn has ridden 6 in a row this season.
Then, in Louisiana, he had a great ride on Maximus and found himself at the end of the night riding for $90,000 in the Mossy Oak Shootout. To up the stakes, the bull he'd ride was Hammer, a bull that had never been ridden.
I thought he's a great bull, but there was no doubt in my mind. I had a good idea that I could ride him. He just looked like my kind of bull, and they were building him up, so I wanted to be the one, of course. And whenever the stakes are high and the bulls are the baddest, it seems like whenever I can do it.
The most famous bull in America today is Hammer, because nobody has ever been successful. He's been out 23 times and no rides. Owen Washburn is having the comeback year that he's been waiting for since he won his world title in 1996.
He rides left-handed. I think it's going to take a left-handed rider. And Owen, he's hot. He's got a chance to make the whistle right here.
Will the captain of consistency rise again? Will he become the first man to ride the legendary Hammer? Holy cow, he's done it. Oh, it's a bull. It's Owen Washburn. The captain is back.
If you can't get your blood pumping for 90,000, I'd like for it to be a 90,000 ride every single time, because whenever I got a ranked bull like that and something on the line, that's when I do my best.
So there it was. Owen Washburn showed that Hammer was rideable. Still leading the next day, it was time for the championship round. And Washburn would be the last rider of the night. What bull did he draw? You guessed it, Hammer.
Will Hammer rise to the occasion? Oh, man, he's doing it, but so is Owen Washburn. He's going to ride him 2 nights in a row. The bull that nobody can ride. The unrideable bull has just been conquered twice by the 1996 world champion bull rider, Owen Washburn. My friends, there is no doubt last night was no fluke.
Some say Owen Washburn riding Hammer twice in the same weekend is one of the biggest feats in PBR history.
Well, I think it's got to rank right up there. You're talking about a former world champion. Everybody thought Owen Washburn was done getting on a bull that had never been ridden. He not only rode him once, but twice, and the bull hasn't been ridden since then, so quite an accomplishment.
And since then, Owen Washburn has placed 4 times in the top 10, and currently he's in the top 5 in this year's race for the World Championship. He's putting together another great year.
Yeah, and he can ride, and, you know, wouldn't be surprising to me if Owen comes back and challenges the guys for a World Championship. You know, he's not done yet.
Well, we hope you've enjoyed this episode of PBR Total Bull as we've taken a look at Owen Washburn and Michael Gaffney, 2 PBR World Champions from the state of New Mexico. Thanks for joining us, everybody. We'll see you next time.